Yo, what's going on, guys? Tom for two here, or Chessman on Lostark. Today, I am doing another class video. One of my top six characters that I've had since the very beginning is my Wardancer. I know, I'd say I know quite a bit about the first intention build. I haven't really strayed away from this build ever since I made the Wardancer. Never bothered switching to Esoteric, but I'll do a rundown of what my current build is, what my Paradox build is, what I run for Chaos, what I run for Raids. We'll talk a little bit about the build, how you guys can adjust it according to your play style. So, yeah, again, I've done my Paladin, my Bard, my Valk, and my Slayer. We're just moving down the list to my Wardancer, and eventually we get to some of the characters I play a little bit less. So, just a caveat, some of these characters I might not know the full ins and outs of, but at least want to give newer players or anybody who's wanting to try out these new classes or figure out a build just kind of a baseline of what they could work with, because I don't really run into gatekeeping issues, but generally my builds are pretty good and sufficient enough to clear the end game content. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, let's get right into it. So my Wardancer, 16, 13 combat power. Again, don't read too much into the combat power. We'll read more into like what I think is the most important for Wardancer, but it's eye level 1700. I'm gonna start by taking a look at the Ulu site, like what I usually do with this series. You can see level 70. If you look across the board, all my armor, all my gear is around, epic 90 plus quality. So still doing those quality taps here and there when I can, when I have free ones, but not really budging a whole lot given the percentages. If we look across my elixirs though, so I'm using, with the first intention build specifically, the master elixir set. I have 5/5 on the helm, and I'm mostly indexing into like strength, the main stat elixir, and then you're either doing strength, attack power, weapon power, right? Just given what RNG you have. Um, so yeah, 5/5, and then shoulder is boss damage 5, attack power 4. Chest is strength 5, attack power 5. Crit damage 5, strength 3, and then master for glove 5 and strength 5. So generally pretty good across the board. If we look at my accessories, mostly because it's an alt, and we're getting down to like my 5th character, I'm not really spending a whole lot of tradable gold on my characters. Like if I get better gear accessories on my my Slayer or my Valk for the DPS build, I'll just funnel the accessories that I'm not using back down to my Wardancer or to my arrows. So that's where I'm at with that. So all this gear is sort of just hand-me-downs. But as you can see, I've got a necklace with addition damage, the high line. I've got an earring that has weapon power and attack power, a high, mid. Unfortunately, the high is just a flat. I can improve the earring on the second earring, but it's attack power mid and then weapon power low. For the first ring, I've got crit damage high and crit rate low, and then I've got crit rate high and weapon attack power low. So build's pretty good. I mean, sufficient enough to get me through the raids. I wouldn't say it's the most juiced out, as it feels your main or one of your second mains, pseudo mains, but this is kind of like an alt that I really enjoy playing. It's mostly because I max out on the swiftness, right? And if you guys notice now, even with supports, I generally play swiftness-based classes and the builds that correspond to it. So it is a back attacker, unfortunately not hitmaster, but I can't stray away from the swiftness. If we talk about the stone, I've got mass increase, cursed all, 7/7 stones, so both level 2. I don't really go for the 9/7 stones. It's just a waste of time for me to try to roll those continuously, and especially with the RNG, it's crapshoot. For my bracelet, I've got swiftness crit, the 2 main stats, and I've got attack damage, crit damage, and vitality. I think I've been playing around with a few different bracelets, but this is the current one that I'm rocking. I could probably show you once I go into the game UI what some of the alternatives I have. Go to my gems. I've got full level 7s across the board, and then I've got 2 level 8s. One on Sweeping Kick, and then one, I believe, on either Leaping Dragon or Energy Combustion, because those are your 2 highest damage skills. So there's that. I don't think I'm going to be really touching the gems a whole lot on my Wardancer until slowly but surely we'll get there, right? I think I'm funneling more towards like my top 4 characters instead, or my top 3 characters even, right? So yeah, there's that. Cards, Light LLS, Light of Salvation is your baseline. And then here's the combat power breakdown if you guys are curious. Again, don't read too much into this combat power. Really, what I find Wardancer is all up to your uptime, and if you're critting. For DPS engravings, as you can probably see, I've got Cursed Daw, Adrenaline, Ray Captain, Grudge, and Mass Increase. Only have nodes on Adrenaline just because, remember, I indexed into my support engravings just because I'm a support main. 4 characters that are support in my top 6. And then we can talk about my ARK passive layout. So again, as I mentioned, in your evolution tree, you're going to go max swiftness and then crit. I use the supersonic breakthrough build. And then for the enlightenment tree, you're just going through the first intention tree. And then for leap, I index heavily into the transcendent power, unleash power, release potential, and then thrust kick. I don't even know if I've completely finished Transcendence, but I'm pretty sure I have most recently. Here's my gem breakdown. So, and you guys can probably see my skills for my raid loadout. But I'm pretty much using Flash Heat Flang, Roar of Courage, Wind's Whisper, Sky Shattering Blow, Lightning Kick, Energy Combustion, Sweeping Kick, and Leaping Dragon. Legendary Gale Wind. You guys can see the runes and stuff in the tripods. But your big hitters are Sweeping Kick, Leaping Dragon, Energy Combustion, and Flash Heat Fang, and you're trying to spam those as fast as you can. So as you can see, probably I've got the highest 2 DPS, 2 to high DPS gems on those DPS skills, as well as CDs for these skills as well. And I'll show you guys the rotation that I use afterwards. So let's go into the game UI. We could talk a little bit more about the build, my rotation, all that good stuff. So let's go into the game. Alright, so in the game, let's take a look. So my enlightenment tree, you guys can probably see it's not the worst. Just rank 6, level 21, 23, 21 across the board. So pretty much the minimum amount you want in terms of just finishing your karma and all that from running Brill. We can look at the skin that I'm using. I think the weapon skin I'm using is just a Peach Pixel Gauntlets. I've always stuck with the Courageous Adventure chest piece. I like the look of this. And then the Brilliant City Pants, using a Snowflake Halo, and then Blue Snowflake Trail Effect. So nothing too fancy. Engravings we already went over. If you guys want to see my Chaos engravings, Preemptive Strike, Contender, Adrenaline, Ray Captain, Keen Blunt, should be pretty sufficient. Gems we already talked about. Cards we already talked about. Okay, so again, I've mostly played the first intention build. So as you can probably see from my main stats, let's see my gear. I'm mostly heavily indexing into swiftness, and your pseudo stat is crit. I would say the best thing is I was terrible Conviction Judgment user, so back in like the tier 3 meta. So I switched, if you guys notice on my raid build, I use mostly quick recharges and Gale Winds just to get my classes or my skills off as much as I can. I don't even know if the first intention class now is back attacking only now. I think they might have updated it now where it's more non-directional. But yeah, you can spam it really fast. You don't even need to manage your bubbles, and I'll talk about the Z skill in a little bit. And you don't even need to use Conviction Judgment, so that's the best thing. If we want to talk about, I think I mentioned I'm using the Supersonic Breakthrough build. I think you need a certain amount of swiftness just to kind of max out on the class. I think you might need like 1550 swift, I thought, on like Lostark Nexus. So just follow that tree if you guys are curious about that. But again, you want to reach a certain cap, and you want to allocate as many points into a crit rate so that you have a better crit rate base to work with. So yeah, let's look next at I guess my rotation. I know I'm in a city right now, but my main rotation, and it's super simple. You start with energy combustion, and then you use Roar of Courage, Wind's Whisper, and then depending on if you have your orbs filled, if you have 3 orbs filled, then I like to consume all 3 orbs, use the Deadly Dive, and then right after use Sweeping Kick, use Leaping Dragon, a Lightning Kick, and a Flash Heat Fang, and then Sky Shattering Blow. Use Sky Shattering Blow as much as possible. It is your counter skill, so just beware. I remember playing Conviction Judgment, and it was Energy Combustion, Sky Shattering Blow, Roar of Courage, Wind's Whisper, Sweeping Kick, and then Leaping Dragon before T skill came up, a Lightning Kick, and then Flash Heat Fang. And you just kind of repeat that cycle until, once your stuff is off cooldown. But your Z gives you, if you have 3 bubbles from the first intention build, you want to consume them before you either use your T skill or your Sweeping Kick build, or Sweeping Kick. And then one thing that's really important to know is your energy combustion skill will be on a timer. So after 20 seconds, it's going to pop or like explode. You want to manually detonate the explosion because it does additional damage to the boss. So generally, you go like, I know I'm in the town center right now, but maybe I could go spawn somewhere. But yeah, you mostly just want to have really good uptime on the boss. Given that your swiftness, you want to be just always consistently hitting the boss, and that's a rule of thumb for all DPS classes, to be honest. So, again, we'll start with the main rotation. And as you can see, my energy combustion is still, ticking away. And now my Z is up, you want to proc that. And then if you notice, it's almost done, so I just want to make that explode, and usually I pop it again right away. So that's generally the rotation. It's pretty simple. And I love the mobility of this class. Like, Lightning Kick will get you anywhere around the arena, the boss arena. So, there you guys have it. I don't know if there's much left to go over besides like my Chaos build and my Paradise build, but that was pretty much going over the rotation, kind of what each skill I use does, and all of that. Let's go over, I guess, some of my different builds. I think I can just go through the skills. So here's my Chaos build. It's nothing too fancy. I think the only thing that I really like using are like Rage, Bleed stacks. But you're mostly just using, I think the only different skill that I use is Swift Wind Kick. You can see the tripods here. It just lets you spin around a bunch. And then Leaping Dragon. You want to change the tripods a little bit to 311. That's pretty much it for Chaos. Let's take a look at my Paradise build because I'm actually one of the top, I think, usually I hover around top like 30 to 40 on the Wardancer charts for Paradise. So here's the build if you guys are interested in. Take it with a grain of salt. My combo is usually the same rotation as I do with my regular DPS. I just replace a couple skills just so that they can do more damage, and especially since in Paradise you have to use the esoteric orbs, but yeah, I'll just go through. You guys can screenshot it or pause it or whatnot. Take a look at the tripods. Of course, the runes don't matter, but yeah, here they are. I'll just click through them one at a time, give you guys a good idea. There we have it. So, I don't know if there's anything else really to show off. I'm just saying that I always kept my Wardancer in my rotations because I love the mobility, the swiftness. Feels so good. You can dodge a lot of patterns. You can maintain really good uptime, and generally you'll be on top of the DPS charts. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about the esoteric build. I'm just a first intention dandy. Um, but yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys have any other questions. Um, yeah, I don't have anything else to mention. I want to keep these videos kind of short just so that they're in a digestible format for you guys. I know I'm not going to cover anything, so make sure you guys check out Lostark Nexus just to get a better idea of kind of the different like stats and different builds and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll probably do my artist or arrow next. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.